All right, Barry, the latest as of 10 o'clock, winds of 50 miles an hour, motion still very slow. I know folks, including me, would like to see this continue to speed along, but it's just barely moving. Pressure is at 1002, so it has weakened as you would anticipate. And notice where the center of circulation is. Where's all the convection? Way down off the coast of Houston. Well, it's a ways distance. Now, what's interesting with this is it is a very, very broad circulation. And in fact, the Weather Service office in Nashville was discussing the heavy rains that they were getting associated with the circulation around Barry. Even as it continues moving northward and eventually by later tomorrow in the evening, that center will be over Arkansas. It'll still be in a position where it's drawing moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. So we're still in store for a wetter day tomorrow, as well as on into Monday before we finally start drying out as we continue on into next week. Still some very heavy convection thunderstorms down well off the coast of southwest Louisiana. Pockets of heavier rainfall beginning to move inland from Morgan City out toward Vermilion Bay and northward. What we saw across southeast Louisiana so far today has not really been that bad. We had one band setting up at around 7:15 or so out over it was around near almost Golden Meadow and cut a path across not only Jefferson but then into Plaquemines, parts of St. Bernard, Orleans, into St. Tammany, and then Pearl River County. Now what's kind of left of that line still over Pearl River County and a few showers into parts of St. Tammany Parish, but at least as far as the storms go that were over the city, they're gone. We did briefly have a flash flood warning. We also briefly had a couple of tornado warnings with that line. Luckily it didn't last for very long, but those bands of storms are still very likely as we continue through the overnight hour. So even though our coverage on air is going back to normal, we're going to be behind the scenes continuing to monitor the situation because we may easily see some of these type of an event. Some of those bands that set up, you can quickly get decent amounts of 2 to 4 or more inches of rain in a very short period of time, and at times also some tornadic type storms, and hopefully we won't see any more for the rest of the night. Quieting down on the north shore, and that is good news for the rivers, which I'm going to show you in just a second. Here's some of the rainfall totals. That 1.56 at Slidell was all from those storms that set up again that training event of rain. Now luckily they didn't get that much rain. Arabi also had about 1 3/4 inches from that line, so it wasn't that bad, but we still could easily see some of those bands setting up through the overnight period. It just depends on exactly where they set up. Going into tomorrow morning, likely we'll have continuing scattered showers and maybe a few thunderstorms. That'll last into the afternoon, and it looks like by later in the afternoon that rain chance starts to diminish. The heaviest of the rainfall still appears to be focused across south central Louisiana throughout the next couple of days. And as far as our rainfall totals go, this is the Euro, which had been on the low side. Now it's kind of on the high side, and I don't think we're going to be adding to those totals a great deal through the overnight period or even into tomorrow. There is still a low end but slight risk of some severe storms developing and gusty winds outside, although the winds have been diminishing a great deal, which is why we have seen a lot of those areas that were inundated with the floodwaters from surge finally starting to recede. Very slowly, but starting to recede. And as I mentioned, we're still expecting a major flood on the Tchefuncte at Covington and at Folsom, but the flood stage has been dropped. So both those numbers have come down, and the Tangipahoa at Roberts still, although expecting a moderate flood, no longer expecting a major flood. So scattered storms throughout the night tonight, and we will continue to see kind of a wetter day during the afternoon hours tomorrow, although far less rainfall, and our rain may come more in waves. Temperature outside right now 78 degrees, something to consider, although we're going to be drying out and becoming a bit more summer-like as we head into next week. Keep in mind, a lot of folks are still going to be cleaning up, doing a lot of outdoor work. Keep in mind that those heat indices will be nearing 100 degrees, probably starting on Wednesday.